Hey everybody, Movie Review Next Door here, and today I am giving you a review of Braven from 2018. This is a film from director Lynn Oeding, director who also did Office Uprising the same year. I really liked that film, I had a lot of fun with it. He also did an action short called Wake that I recently saw, and I thought that was an excellent short. It's sad that we most likely won't be getting a movie version of that because that was 11 years ago. And that cast was intriguing. But yeah, Braven, getting my initial thoughts out of the way. Well, first of all, directed by Lynn Oeding, came out in 2018, stars Jason Momoa, Garrett Dillahunt, Stephen Lang, Jill Wagner, and Brendan Fletcher. Now, this is a film, it's basically a home invasion film that goes to outside of the home. It's, I guess you could call it a survival story, technically. Jason Momoa's character, Joe Braven, and his father, Lyndon, go to a secluded cabin where drugs have been stashed for these drug runners stash the drugs there thinking, oh, he's not going to be there this weekend, and then he turns out to be there, and then all hell breaks loose. That's basically all I have to say. This film, I liked it. I did. It took a bit, though. Here's the thing. This is one of those films that I'm not going to say people are wrong when they say they like this. I'm going to say that it's one of those films that you kind of have to, if you're not into the story, if you're not into the characters, you're not going to have a good time with this. I say that because this film is very story-based in the first half. There's no action really to speak of in the first half of the film. Now, that's not a spoiler. I say that to get people ready because I do think this is just hitting good. It was at decent for a while, and then the last half brought it up to a good. But there are a lot of films I would rather watch than this. This film, I knew about it for a while. There was one of those, back when I was buying movies on cheap charts, where it tells you, what digital films are, on sale. There was an action movie pack that included Braven, and I was like, maybe not some other time. At that point, it was $7, and I was like, I'm not sure I can drop $7 on that. Because I wasn't big on Jason Momoa. Now that I've seen this, I don't mind him. But, just my thoughts, this feels like the director was trying to make a Taylor Sheridan film. Now, if you haven't seen a Taylor Sheridan film, he wrote Sicario, Sicario 2, directed Wind River, wrote Hell or High Water, created Yellowstone, Mayor of Kingstown, 1923, 1883, all of these TV shows, and movies. He directed Those Who Wish Me Dead, which I thought was a lot of damn fun. Not complex by any means, but it has kind of the same structure as a Taylor Sheridan film, where it's not really so much action-based as it is survival stories. Because Those Who Wish Me Dead, Sicario, Wind River, all of those are survival stories for the most part. So yeah, I think that's what this director was trying to do. I don't think he did a bad job. I just think some things should have been changed, or some things should have been done a bit better. But yeah, get to the cast. Jason Momoa as Joe Braven. He's good. He does a good job here. He plays this father character very well. He has a daughter. The daughter's not that good, but I'll get to her. He works for this character mostly because they don't have him do anything super taxing, kinda. there's like a scene where he cries about a character's death, but I mean, he did a good job. That's what I'm saying. Garrett Dillahunt. I like Garrett Dillahunt. I think this is kind of a weak villain for him. Because pretty much the only thing you know about this character is that he's ruthless. He never keeps up his word, which that's what every kind of annoying Hollywood villain does. This isn't really a Hollywood movie, whatever, but he does a good job, but I feel like he should have had a better character to play. Stephen Lang as Lyndon. He does a good job, of course. I love Stephen Lang ever since Don't Breathe. He was in some Western. I loved him. But he's kind of got that like Clint Eastwood type of feel to him, where you can tell he's like a world-weary guy. He's like really fought battles through his life. He's one of those actors, and I really do love him. I do wish he got a bit more to do, but that always happens with these types of movies. Jill Wagner as Stephanie. This is Jason Momoa's character's wife. She does a good job. Like, the performances are not the issue with this movie. There aren't like a ton of issues. It's just that it's kind of just good. That's about it. But Jill Wagner, she plays a realistic, strong female character. Like, not one that's just like, oh, I hate men. She cares about her husband. She wants to defend her husband. She wants to protect her daughter. Sorry if you hear a cat. But, yeah, it's a character that I could get into. Brendan Fletcher as Weston. He's a bit underused in the film. I do wish he had more of a part, because he's an actor that I've always campaigned like he should have more films that he stars in, like the Rampage trilogy. Even though I didn't like the second one, I still like the first and third ones. And he makes those movies with his performance, because he really comes off as like a real life middle class guy, or middle/lower class guy, who's like fed up with the world and just doesn't want to deal with the bullshit anymore. I buy him in that role, and I think he is a pretty fantastic actor. And if he had been nominated for like a movie, I wouldn't have been mad for that, for like the Oscars or something. If he like had a leading role and got nominated, I would not be mad. He's been in so many great supporting roles, and even the first and third Rampage movies, even though people hate every Uwe Boll movie, those are good movies. The first and third Rampage movies, Assault on Wall Street and Postal. I will die on that hill. Those are his best films, and those are pretty much the only films worth the shit I've seen from Uwe Boll so far. So, there you go. But yeah, the daughter, I think Sasha Rossef, I think it was Charlotte. She wasn't good. She was the main issue. One of the main issues acting-wise. Well, the main issue acting-wise. She was the only one really doing a terrible job. She's very wooden. She's very like, Dad, and not, Dad! Like, when she's supposed to be scared, she doesn't come off scared. It's more annoying. But yeah, at least she's not in the film a ton. But yeah, this is a film. If you go into it knowing that it's going to take a bit to get to the action, and you can get into the characters, you'll have a good time with it. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's one of those films that you're like, oh, this is on Netflix, which this was a big Netflix thing. Like, it came out in 2018, and then years later during the pandemic, it went to Netflix, and it went to top 10 because probably Jason Momoa is in it, and people love him for Aquaman for some reason. But I'm at least glad for Netflix doing that. Netflix have had their issues. Netflix has had its issues, especially with bringing up too many new shows and then not supporting the shows that people are actually watching, or making movies that are supposed to have sequels and then not doing the sequels, basically just abandoning the story. I can all day shit on them for that, because they deserve it. Netflix, I know you don't, I know no one from Netflix is watching this, but Netflix, if anybody from Netflix sees this, get them to stop putting out so many shows at one time, because then you won't be able to actually put your eggs in the correct basket for the shows that people watch, like Ozark. But yeah, and even Wednesday, I didn't watch Wednesday, but a lot of people were mad about Wednesday being canceled, and I can understand why a lot of people liked the show. But yeah, this film, it's one of those, I do like survival stories, I do. A couple that come to mind, like Run, Hide, Fight was easily my favorite of 2020. I guess that's technically when it came out. Easily my favorite film of 2020, and the most memorable, like, with subject matter and actors, like up-and-coming actors like Isabel May and Eli Brown. There was Battle Royale. Battle Royale is a survival film I fucking love. One of my favorite films of all time. Hard Target. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Directed by John Woo. His first American film. I do love that film. It's not my favorite John Woo film. Hard Boiled is still my favorite, but that's not a survival movie. That's just a straight-up action movie. But yeah, like, I enjoy this subgenre of action film. The survival film. People, like, the main characters using what is at their disposal, creating weapons, thinking of alternate ways to kill people or stop them from hurting you. It's a very interesting and compelling thing in action filmmaking. And I'd love to make a survival film of my own in the future when I'm actually directing things. I'm actually trying to get a short film written now. I know this isn't an announcement video, but I'm trying to write a short comedy, a comedy short film. Comedic, action comedy short film. That's what I'm trying to write right now. But yeah. So yeah, watching these movies gives me inspiration for that, which is awesome, because it makes me actually want to work. And I mean, since my job's not giving me the hours I'm supposed to be getting by law, I guess I gotta use my time elsewhere. But anyway, this film, it is good. It is. It does take a bit to get to that point where you're really, like, taken aback by, like, oh, that was actually kind of brutal. Oh, that was an interesting line. It's one of those that, yeah, if you just watched, like, the first hour of the film, you'd probably think, oh, there's nothing really special about this. Even with the full film, it's not really that special. That's part of the thing. Like, it doesn't seem to have a specific... This feels too reminiscent of other films. It feels too reminiscent of other movies where it's like, oh, they're trying to get the drugs. We've got to hide out in the house. If we give them all the drugs, they'll kill us. I don't usually say that for movies, but this film is very basic. That's what I'll say. It's very basic in its intentions and what it's trying to do. And I know, I review movies for what they're trying to do. So 8 out of 10 is the highest I can really give this. Which isn't bad at all. I think it's a good movie. I think it's a good action movie. If you go in and you're not expecting, like, martial arts or anything, you'll have a good time. There's some shooting. There's some crossbows, which is cool. It's nice to see these babies. Well, I mean, they have bows, and they have crossbows as well. But, like, it's nice to see those babies in action films. But yeah. Let me get to the pros. Jason Momoa, Stephen Lang, Jill Wagner, Garrett Dillahunt, all four do great jobs in the film. Good jobs, at least. The acting does definitely help. It does help that Jason Momoa isn't, like, the blank fucking slate that he is in most movies that I've seen him in. Well, I mean, Justice League, I just remember him being so boring. Because, I mean, that character, Aquaman, is supposed to be kind of a joke. In the early comics, it's kind of, like, known that he's a joke, but then they were like, oh, let's get a muscle man to play him. so he can be badass. Like, who the fuck ever thought Aquaman was badass? But yeah, the action is decently well done. It works for what it's going for. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel action wise. It's not anything you haven't seen, I guess, is how I'd put it. But yeah, it works for the film. It's not afraid to show some violence. It's not like ridiculously violent, but it's not afraid to show some blood. I do wish they had more, because showed more and like had blood spilling everywhere, because I just love the concept visually of snow being stained by blood, like the whitest thing in nature just having blood strewn over it. I don't know why. I think that's a very cool visual. Like if you had like a samurai movie in the snow, I think that would be awesome. Like visual wise, like action wise, awesome. The score from, I think it's a band called Years. The musical score is pretty decent. Very subtle like guitars in the background that I really enjoyed, and orchestral stuff like for the dramatic bits. It works for the film. Decent cinematography, very nice shots. This film does not look its budget. It is a $5 million budget, which is the same as the last film I reviewed, Endgame. I would rather watch Endgame than this. I'm not gonna lie. I would rather watch Endgame, even though it's not as, like, I guess, character driven. I just enjoyed Endgame a bit more. The Cuba Gooding Jr. movie. But yeah, cons. I wished Garrett Dillahunt had a better character to play. His character's very one note. The acting performance is really good, but it's just the character that the acting performance is for. It feels like this character doesn't deserve this performance. Again, I wish Stephen Lang got a little bit more to do, because I love the man. The film could use a bit more action. I would say that. The ending fight, a lot of people were talking about how badass it was. I will say the ending fight let me down quite a bit. But yeah, this film, again, don't have much to say about it, but this film is still a decently fun time. It still works. It's still an action film. It's still decently exciting at points. And the characters aren't that bad. The characters make up for quite a bit of the pitfalls in the action department. So, yeah, if any of what I said seems interesting, and you see the Blu-ray somewhere cheap, go ahead. Or just watch it on Netflix. But yeah, that's about all I have to say about it. Leave a comment or a like if you enjoyed the video. Give me your thoughts, like movies you want me to review. Click the bell, whatever. Movie reviewer next door. Out.